So you want to get into reading, but you don't really know where to start. You've maybe seen some recommendations on BookTube, maybe gone to a local bookstore or your library. You've read things about certain books, but you don't really know where to start. Well, in this video, I want to help you. These are 5 books that I would recommend to anyone that is starting reading or trying to get back into reading. These books come from different genres, different authors, written at different times, and I think there is something in this stack of books for everyone that I am excited to talk about with you all in this video. And as always, shout out to your local library. Almost all of these are from the library or from a used bookstore that I picked up, and I've read all of these. Cannot recommend these enough, so I want to jump right in. First up is actually a 2-for-1 special. So we have Foster or Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. Both of these stories are phenomenal. They do an amazing job of telling these intricate, heartfelt, gut-wrenching stories with not many pages and not a ton of words. Claire Keegan is able to say a lot by saying a little. These books do not get wrapped up with pretty bows on the end. They're kind of left like cliffhangers, like true short stories are. Small Things Like These has been adapted into a movie that you can watch that has Cillian Murphy in the lead. But of the two, I would say Foster is my favorite of the 2 books. This is about a young girl that goes to stay with some distant family members for the summer because her family is struggling, and we get to follow her for the summer and see her story. Both of these books are absolutely phenomenal. You can read them in a day, and one of the best things that you can do in your reading journey is pick up a book and finish it. And so these are both a great option to pick up and to read. Claire Keegan, Small Things Like These, or Foster. Cannot recommend them enough. Next book up. Little different genre, a little different focus, but also not a new book by any means. But if you are a fan of 90s movies, excitement, fun, summer blockbusters, all of those things, then I think Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton is the book for you. I love this movie so much. It's probably one of my top 5 movies of all time, and this book is phenomenal. It is a really great telling of the story. There are differences in it. You get to see a lot of the philosophical side of, is it right and good to make dinosaurs? Is this something that is ethical to do? And so we get more in depth of that, but also there are parts in this book that are used in the other Jurassic Park movies that we don't see in the first one. And what is so cool about this story is that the people that make it off the island in the movie are not the same people that make it off the island in the book. So the whole time as you're reading this, you're going to be pulled into the story just like the movie, but wondering who is actually going to survive and picking up on different details that, wait, that shows up in The Lost World, or that shows up in Jurassic Park 3. So I cannot recommend this book enough. So good. All right, if you are like me, then you remember growing up watching Star Wars. I love Star Wars so much. And if you have found yourself maybe just a little disappointed with some of the Star Wars storytelling that has happened over the years, feeling like maybe some of the joy or spark has been missing from some of the Star Wars stories that have been told, then Star Wars Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn is, I think, the perfect book for you to pick up. This takes place after Return of the Jedi. This is the pinnacle of Star Wars. This is the introduction of Grand Admiral Thrawn, the ultimate bad guy in the Star Wars universe. And this story follows Luke, Leia, and Han after the events of Return of the Jedi and feels like Star Wars. Timothy Zahn does an amazing job of continuing the story of the characters that we love while moving the story forward as we're not in the original trilogy anymore, and seeing how things are unfolding for them and the other threats that are rising up in the galaxy, along with the Empire there as a threat. So Star Wars Heir to the Empire, cannot recommend it enough. I bought this book when I was in middle school at Half Price Books, and I am ashamed to say I did not actually pick it up to read it until about 2 years ago. And boy, am I glad I did, because this is just the Star Wars that I grew up with and that I love so much. Next book up. You know when you read books in school and you're like, I don't understand why we're reading this book. This doesn't even make sense. and you just do it, or you look up the Cliff Notes or the Spark Notes just so you can get a decent grade and move on to the next thing. Well, that is exactly how I felt about The Great Gatsby. This book in high school, I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. Wasn't really sure why we were reading it. I just thought it didn't connect with me at all. And then flash forward to college when the Leonardo DiCaprio movie came out. Really enjoyed the movie. And so as I started about my reading journey again, I decided it would be fun to try and read maybe some of those books they wanted us to read in school, but I just didn't connect with. And so the first one I picked up was Great Gatsby. And this story is amazing. I love the story that F. Scott Fitzgerald tells. I think you need a level of maturity to appreciate this book. And so I'm not really sure why in high school. I'll just be honest, I was not mature enough to appreciate the topics and themes that take place in these pages. And I now read the book really quickly and just absolutely loved this story. I think this is a book that I will continue to go back to read just because I think there is a lot of relatable topics in this of loss, of pride, of jealousy, of death, of striving for acceptance from others. There are just so many themes that he highlights in this story that are relatable. And the story is tragic, and wish it would end differently. But great story to pick up and read. And then finally, I can't make a reading list without putting this book on here. This is my favorite story of all time. And if you are a fantasy fan, or if you are a fan of witty banter between two best friends that are thieves and are on a journey to protect their name and to also save basically the whole world without them even realizing that's what they're setting out to do, then The Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan is the perfect book to pick up. It looks pretty thick, but it reads so well, so quickly. It is easy to just fall into this story following the main characters of Royce and Hadrian and the story that they find themselves in. This book is actually 2 individual stories that take place over a 2-year time period in the world of Elan. And so the first story feels very down to earth, very small scale. And then the second one, we start to begin to see the more of the things that are at play in the world around them and what's at stake, and how Hadrian and Royce are drawn into things that are taking place throughout the rest of the world that maybe they didn't think they really needed to matter with or be involved in. But this book always is rolling around in my head. I love Hadrian. He feels just like a genuine good guy that wants to help and care for people and is very hope-filled. And then Royce is just the ultimate assassin, ultimate sneak, ultimate thief, and counters Hadrian really well in his view of the world because he's been hurt by a lot of people and is navigating a lot of the trauma that he is carrying. And so I cannot recommend this book enough. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. But all of these books you can find at your library. And so if you're wanting to get into reading, don't feel like you have to go to the bookstore and buy a ton of books. Just go down to your local library, walk around, ask a librarian what books they recommend or what books they enjoy. Let me know if you've read any of the books on this list, what your thoughts are. What 5 books would you recommend to someone that's starting out on their reading journey? I can't wait to hear more from you in the comments about books you would recommend to somebody else that's trying to get back into reading or starting reading for the first time.